Welcome back to the Dugout and Beyond. So we got some possible new number changes for the first couple of picks here in the upcoming MLB draft. Of course, we had the College World Series, and that might be why exactly some of these players are actually pushed up ahead of other players and are pushing some players down. Of course, that usually happens as they have more time to showcase their ability, and basically some of them had kind of really good outings to coming at the end of the year. Of course, we have the still number one pick is the Washington Nationals. Next coming in is the Los Angeles Angels, and third is, of course, the Seattle Mariners here. Yeah, and let's start off here with number one, as we have a new number one is left-handed pitcher coming out of LSU, Cade Anderson, as he, of course, dominated in his final outing for LSU in the College World Series against Coastal Carolina, as he actually basically threw a shutout in 8 innings, 3 hits, 0 runs, 5 walks, and 10 strikeouts. And he also did it in 130 pitches. So he did amazing in that one, as we have had LSU beat Coastal Carolina in that one in game 1, 1-0, as they did end up, of course, winning game 2 and having their second win in 3 years in the College World Series there. And actually, it is the first shutout in a College World Series game since 2018. So it's been a couple of years since then. So that's pretty awesome to see, actually. But also, some of these players, you're like, wait, how are these numbers matching up to being even top 5 in this? As we, of course, have had a couple of high schoolers that I've already mentioned have really good numbers, especially with pitchers and stuff. So we, of course, have here first Cade Anderson, LSU for 2 years. And again, these numbers are really not crazy standout, but a lot of these teams are liking these players a lot because, of course, they have a little bit more experience at a little bit higher level. Of course, going from high school to college is just that much more harder. The same thing going from college to even the minor leagues is just that much harder. And then, of course, going from minors to majors is that much more step up in the ability. So that is kind of why a lot of these players are being brought up a little bit higher than others. But we have Cade Anderson, first year, 2024, 4 wins, 2 losses with a 3.99 ERA. He started in 9 games and played in 18 of them. And then this previous year, he did a lot better. But his ERA is definitely better, but not like, oh my god, that's insanely better. But he did go 12-1 in the year, 3.18 ERA. Started 19 games and played in 19 games and had 180 strikeouts, which is really good. So yeah, that's probably one of the numbers that actually sticks out a lot is the strikeouts there. He did let up 16 home runs, 35 walks, which is not too crazy, just 15 above the previous year, which is not honestly terrible. It's not awesome, but it's not terrible, to say the least. And he had 119 innings pitched also this year. But yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting situation on really, is he going to be kind of the new guy for them? As yeah, they want him to kind of come up with the new squad that they already have. Of course, they have James Wood. They have Dylan Cruz up there already. CJ Abrams. So they have a good young squad. And of course, we know that Dylan Cruz was on LSU a couple years ago and was brought up in only a few years. So it could definitely be a pretty good match up there. And a lot of these teams up front here in the first couple picks are probably looking forward to having just these players being either in the minors for a very, just a short amount of time and being brought up, or almost being brought up pretty much immediately. So yeah, he should hope he could add some depth to that team, especially since they have some of these player positions already kind of filled out for, honestly, the foreseeable future, honestly, at this point. And they're very young. And, of course, James Wood is crushing it right now. Dylan Cruz has kind of been not exactly the prospect that they were looking for at this moment. But, again, still young. And C.J. Abrams is just being him at this moment. He's doing very well for them. And, of course, if you just bring in some arms for them, I think they can be actually kind of become a solid team in a couple years and be back to their World Series winning ways that they were in 2018-19 here at that moment. So next we have Liam Doyle, also again another left-handed pitcher coming from Tennessee in this one. And again, these numbers, I'm going back to it, are not insane. they're not like, holy crap, like, oh my god, this is like awesome. He actually started at Coastal Carolina. Of course, I just mentioned them as they lost to LSU in this year's College World Series. As he was there for, he went 3-1 with, he started in 7 games, played in 23 of them, and had a very much inflated ERA at 4.15. And then he went to Mississippi in 2024 as his ERA shot up even more than it was at Coastal to a 5.73. You're like, wow, oh my god, that's terrible. How are you gonna even get drafted in like the 5th round, 6th round, 20th round, whatever it is? He started in 11, played in 16 of them, and then he transferred again to Tennessee this previous year. And he did quite well. He actually he brought his ERA down quite a bit, actually much lower than the year that he had at Coastal, to 3.20. Again, some improvement, which obviously a lot of teams are looking for. And yeah, this is also could possibly end up on the Angels. He as we mentioned here. And then he started in 17 games and played in 19 of them. He did have 95.2 innings pitched, and he struck out 164. So not as amazing as 180, but still not too shabby on that one there. And also, they're looking at Liam Doyle as, of course, if you've kind of noticed what the Angels have done the last couple of years, is they basically have had almost no experience in the minors. We had Noah Shenua, the first baseman. Basically, I don't think he played a single inning or like anything in the minors, and he was just brought straight up to the majors a couple of years ago. And he started off pretty hot. He actually had like a record for like the most amount of hits like for games like in a row. And then this year he's kind of come back down to earth, and he is not, again, he's been kind of like Dylan Cruz. He hasn't really popped off again. But again, very, very young, and they of course have obviously one of the best players in the for our generation. Thankfully, he has been staying somewhat healthy this year. He had missed a number of games in Mike Trout, but again, we do have kind of a young squad again for them. And they have also Zach Neto, who played almost no time again in the minors and was brought straight up. So they're kind of saying that maybe Liam Doyle can maybe just spend like couple games in the minors, and they said don't even be surprised if he is up in the majors by even August, or he might even be a September call up as a second overall pick in this coming draft. But yeah, in the 3 seasons here, he went 16-9 with an average ERA of 4.13, which is obviously not really good at all. But they're saying that he could show some potential, and of course he brought his ERA down over 2 points here from a 5.7. He almost was at a 6, honestly, with almost a 6 ERA, and he brought it down to under a 3.5 in the next year. So some improvement there, which obviously is a good thing to see in a player throughout their time of playing. And again, you're just improvement and keep on going with the ball, and they could definitely learn a lot and be brought up really fast. And maybe just that's sometimes the best thing for some people in the world is just throw them into the fire and see what they can do. Learn their way into it. Maybe try some new pitches along the way there. But yeah, nothing too crazy there. But they're looking for possibly just some people to grow into their system and yeah, be up in the majors in no time. You could see this guy Liam Doyle in the minors in the majors in the next couple of months here. But yeah, that'd be pretty interesting to see that actually happen. And then we have here coming in as a possible number 3 pick for the Seattle Mariners, we could have Jamie Arnold coming from Florida State, another left-handed pitcher. So we could have right off the bat left-handed pitchers. So yeah, again, numbers are not staggeringly amazing, but they are a little bit better than them. And honestly, I would not be surprised if he is even going first or second, honestly, in this. So he started Florida. He's been in Florida State his entire career here as in college. Of course, a lot of these players all do play summer leagues just to stay loose and keep it going, because you obviously want to do it as best you can, and the more you play, the better you get. Obviously, the more you can practice. Not too great the first year though. 2-5 in 2023, 6.34 ERA. Start 8 games, was in 24, and then he said, "Hey, let me go and do my work here in the off season, and then come back here. He did much better last year. 2024, 11-3 with a great 2.98 ERA. Started in 18 games, was in 19 games, and he did really well. He actually he had 159 strikeouts, just a little bit less than what we had for Liam Doyle, but not crazy amount more. But he did have, I think it was about 10 more innings pitched here. Yeah, he had almost exactly. Actually, he had exactly. No, he didn't. He had just under 10 more innings pitched than him here. So yeah, that's it's a kind of a little bit different off here with the innings pitching. But then we had Florida State the next year. Not crazy, but definitely still a very good outing at 8-2 on the year. Again, another solid 2.98 ERA. So it didn't really move up or down, and he didn't move at all on that one, honestly. That's pretty obvious. He didn't move at all. 2.98 to 2.98. And he started in 15 and played in 15 games this year. And he had 119 strikeouts. So not really sure what happened there. Obviously, the wins and losses are all kind of here and there, because he had definitely some games in there that were no decisions, of course. And that obviously doesn't give you a win or a loss on the year. But the strikeouts being down 40 is quite drastic on that one. That is a pretty big drastic change there. But he did have another drastic drop in the amount of innings pitched, which was 84.2, which is insane on how crazy those numbers are and how different they are. But yeah, so his average ERA in those 3 years is at 3.61. Again, it's not amazing, but that's definitely something workable for them to do in the minors. And I don't really see them using. He can definitely come in as a good, solid young arm for the Mariners, as they do have a good young squad there. As also kind of veteran squad there. Also, they're more of one of the older kind of things there. Logan Gilbert there. As one of the pitchers, he can definitely learn a lot from him. We have, of course, Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh are there long term right now, and they also have Rosarena, who's just been kind of been there. He of course he blew up in the playoffs in 2020 when he blew off with I think it was 9 home runs in the playoffs that year. Of course, that was COVID, and they were playing in just certain cities, and they couldn't go anywhere. And then they got Rosarena I think last year in the trade deadline, and he's been okay. He has not been amazing, but yeah, he could definitely show some power there. But of course, they kind of need some more pitching staff on that team, and he could definitely be a good asset to them and bring in some more power for them. So yeah, again, I can see so many of these names being shifted around. I can even see some top 10 guys who I said in a couple videos ago even still be top 1 and have these guys be pushed down even further. But I do see that Cade Anderson could. I think if we're going with it and we're trying to, and I'm going to make a solid pick, I would actually put Cade Anderson still going first to the Nationals here. They did see him. He did have a very good outing. Of course, you could have one amazing thing and then just kind of blow it. But hey, we all have, these guys are all 20, 21, 20, 22 maybe, some of them by the draft. Even by the time they play, they could be still insanely young and so much room to grow. And that's obviously where you're going with this. But yeah, and then not to mention, if we do have these, maybe even just other 3 people go in this area, in these top 3, we could have a chance at having Ethan Holliday being drafted by the Colorado Rockies. Which, if it makes you think, who else was drafted by the Rockies? Oh yeah, his dad, Matt Holliday, 7-time All-Star, 7th round. Imagine you get drafted 4th overall in the first round, of course, for our first round, 4th overall, to the Colorado Rockies, the same team that your dad went and played on and had an amazing career on. That would just kind of put a little icing on the cake for him and, of course, his family. And obviously, he would be just a little bit behind his brother, Jackson Holliday, who got drafted #1 overall a number of years ago by the Orioles. but that was still being awesome. Be like, hey, I got drafted by the same team, but even higher, much higher than you. But yeah, in the end, this is going to be a very interesting, I think, and bizarre kind of draft, because you just don't really know where we're gonna be going with this. Like the last couple years, we've been like, all right, we have a solid at least 2 or 3 players gonna be here. You can have an entire shift and have this player from over here come over here and just be thrown all around. It just depends on what the team is thinking and what they can do in the next couple weeks as we are going and getting into the All-Star break. Of course, with the Home Run Derby coming up, All-Star game, future game, all that kind of stuff. So just to see where these players go is going to be really awesome, and it's going to be very interesting to see these guys grow into see what they can do for their life, and maybe see what happens and how long do they last in the minors for some of these teams that they get drafted to. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.